Hi everyone, I'm Brune Smith and this is my podcast. Hi everybody, welcome back to the podcast for people who feel things differently. There's this one moment in a recent episode of the We Can Do Hard Things podcast that has stayed with me around the theme of permission. We Can Do Hard Things, if you're not familiar, is a podcast that is near and dear to my heart. It's with author Glennon Doyle, her wife and soccer icon, Abby Wambach, and Glennon's incredible sister, Amanda Doyle. The tagline for that podcast is The Cure for Emotional Isolation. The specific moment I want to refer to is within the episode titled, Should We Quit Social Media?, which is an interview with Roxane Gay, the one and only, one of my favorite authors. So there's this one moment in the conversation where Roxane examines why people often ask of her to react to whatever thing is going on in the news. It's very common for public figures who are also activists, like she is, to be asked to give their opinion constantly. And she raises this interesting point. She says, quote, I always ask people when they ask me, why haven't you said something about X, Y, or Z? I actually ask, why do you want me to? What do you need from me specifically about this topic that compels you to reach out to me and ask me? What are you looking for? And a lot of times, she says, people are looking for validation that they are thinking the right things and that their opinions are valid. End quote. That resonated with me deeply because I have looked to famous people for validation whenever I had a hunch that I wanted to do something, and sometimes even when I thought something that I hadn't heard anywhere else. For example, I left social media last summer. I did a whole episode on that if you're interested. But I had been thinking about it for 3 years until I actually did it. And during those 3 years, I'd been looking for examples of successful people who were living their lives outside of social media and conducting their businesses without social media. I found those people and those voices, including Cal Newport, the author of Deep Work and of the, I think, soon to be released book, Slow Productivity. And another person is Alexandra Franzen, a woman I admire deeply. She's an author. And she's also an entrepreneur who, among other things, created an amazing course called Marketing Without Social Media. So when we think of the fears that we have when we want to do the scary thing, there are two components in there when we look to other people for validation. The first question we ask ourselves is the thing I want to do actually doable? We also ask ourselves, in what way is it doable, and what will be the repercussions in my life? What is the field of possibilities if I choose to take the road less traveled instead of the well-beaten path? And the truth is, oftentimes, we can only see the possibilities once we are engaged on that less traveled road. Once we have taken the first small step, and then the second small step, and so on. And the second thing we ask ourselves when we are faced with something we want to do or say is, will I be socially acceptable if I do this thing that no one I know is doing, or saying this thing that no one I know is saying? Will I be rejected? And if so, how am I likely, in my current circumstances and in my current emotional disposition, to let this rejection affect me? These questions are totally natural. But think about this. What if someone else, maybe one of your friends, maybe someone you just met at a cafe, what if that person is waiting for you to say the thing? What if that person is waiting for you to share with them this quote unquote odd thing that you did, and to give them permission to do or say something that they've been scared to do or say? So what if instead of waiting for permission to do or say the thing, we focused on giving someone else permission? The way to do that is to go ahead and do or say the thing that we haven't seen reflected anywhere else. It is generous. It's generous to be you and no one else. To stop deferring to everyone else for authority. It's generous to innovate in the way you live your life, in the way you take care of yourself, in the way you love, in the way you ask to be loved, and in the way you express all parts of who you are. I have to admit, when I saw that the We Can Do Hard Things podcast had Roxane Gay on, and that the title was Should We Quit Social Media? And then I listened to it, there was a part of me that was proud in a good way. It felt really good. I was proud that someone I look up to and have huge regard for, namely Roxane Gay, was considering doing the scary thing that I did, namely leaving social media. Now, I'm not comparing myself to her by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a successful author yet, and I don't have a massive audience, so the stakes for the both of us are completely different, obviously, but that's beside the point. The point is, I felt like doing something scary. I did look for validation for a while, and that's fine. But then I went ahead and did the thing. And just like I had suspected in the quietness of my mind 3 years ago, doing the scary thing of leaving social media has changed my life for the better, and it has strengthened my sense of self. I'll leave you with a question. What is one thing in your heart that you've been wanting to do or to say out loud? Thank you for listening. If you liked this episode, please send it to a friend. Don't forget to subscribe or follow the podcast wherever you're listening. And if you'd like to react to this episode, you can do that under this episode at brunsmith.substack.com. The link is in the show notes. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, let's do things differently.